Hi, creative friends. This is Soraya, and thank you so much for being here. So I'm super excited about doing this video today because I am going to be combining two of my absolute favorite things. The first one is this gorgeous book by Connie Solera, Painting the Feminine. And I mean, just look at this delicious, luscious, decadent spread. I absolutely love it. And I am going to be also using my tea bags. So it's just a matter of time that I started combining my tea bags with Connie Solera's work. And I'm so interested and just over the moon to just dive right in and just kind of see what happens. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I am going to see where I want to place my figures. And I want to use this area right here. Now I'm gonna just kind of use my viewfinder and, really look at what's going on. Ooh, I love all this juiciness over here. And I'm really loving that as well. And I'm loving this tealish kind of green with the greens over here. And Connie is a master colorist. I absolutely love the way she uses color, thinks about color, combines color. So I'm gonna keep this as like the top of a woman's head. And I think I'm just gonna like, I don't know, make it into a headdress or something. I mean, I'm not trying to go for realism here, so that frees me up a lot. So I'm just going to kind of go like so, and see, I'm gonna kind of keep that like it's just kind of coming out of her head. Like maybe it's a headdress, maybe it's, I don't know. It doesn't have to be anything really. And I'm going to draw another face over here. And it's so interesting working this way because the first thing is I'm not restrained by any kind of realism. So that helps a lot. It's a bit scary too, mind you, but it also it's kind of like a roller coaster, like you're excited, but it's also scary. That's a good that's a good way to describe it. And so there's a figure here, a figure there, and Connie has a figure over here. So I think I'm gonna kind of use it as a kind of a template, but I'm gonna I think I'm gonna kind of like so I'm gonna use this to be the robes, and that way I can retain all of this luscious coloring here, but I am going to, like, I'm gonna cover up this part. And see, I don't know if I want to even use my burnt sienna ink because I might go for like a complete abstract look in the faces, and that kind of scares me a little bit because honestly, I feel more comfortable painting and drawing stylized faces rather than a completely abstract face. I've been working on it in my experimental journal for quite some time, working on abstract faces, but it is something that is, it is a little bit out of my element. So the whole purpose of working in a book like this is to push myself. So that's what I'm going to do. And because these tea bags are transparent, when they dry, I'm going to be able to see what's behind it. So I'm really interested in how that's going to pan out. And I think I'm going to keep like this part here because I really do love that. And the trick when I'm working in a book like this is I don't want to keep too much of Connie's work, but I also don't want to overwhelm it with my work as well. So it's kind of a balancing act. And I know in one of the video series I did, I kept too much of my work, and then another one, I kept too much of Connie's work. So sometimes that is going to happen, but you know, sometimes I do strike a good balance. So that's always my objective. And then if things don't go that way, then I just kind of roll with it. But when I start off, I try to go, okay, I want to retain like maybe 40 to 60% of Connie's work, and you know, and then of my work, whatever is the remaining. And so where should I put, I think I'm going to put this piece over here. So you guys, I think I'm going to go full on abstract here. I mean, I might as well, right? And I think I'm just going to go with a teal face over here. And maybe, I don't know, maybe a yellow face over here and blue. I don't know. I'm thinking I might do that. So, okay, let's just see what happens. I mean, if I don't like it, I can always add some collage or another color. So in my first phase, I guess, of working in a book like this, my main objective is just simply to figure out, like I get my viewfinder out and I look and see like, hey, you know, what interests me? What am I drawn to? What am I going to keep? And then what I do is I try to figure out, you know, where my figures are going to go. And I might block in, say like I'm doing right now, I might block in the face, lay some collage down if that's what I'm going to do. And that's a good like start. Like I'm not trying to do too much in my first layer because, well, for me anyways, it can get a bit overwhelming if I try to figure everything out at one time. So now I am applying paint right over top of this tea bag, and it's not the glue, the Mod Podge is not dry yet, but that's okay if I'm delicate with it. Like I'm trying not to tear the tea bag. You can do that. You don't have to wait for it to dry completely. And I'm just gonna bring some of that yellow in here. Now, I've mentioned this before, but when you're working in a book like this, Connie has a really strong visual language. And it is challenging because I'm working with a visual language that's not my own, that's very strong. Like it's not a, you know, wishy-washy type of visual language. And so now I have to insert my visual language in a way that is going to kind of balance with what's on the page. Because like I said, I don't want my work to overwhelm the page, but neither do I want Connie's work to overwhelm the page. So it's like a balancing act. And, you know, it's always interesting to see, like, how is this going to turn out? And more importantly, like, what am I going to learn from this? Because I learned so much from working like this. So that's going to be the face for this robed lady over here. And then I think over here, I'm going to use some of the blues, but I'm also going to use teal. And so I'm going to pull some of the blue in here. So one of the things I've learned by working in this book, Painting the Feminine, is like, I might think, oh my God, like these colors are not going to go together, like say purple and orange, that I would not think that to mix those two colors together. But Connie uses it quite a lot. And I don't know how she does it, but she uses it in such a way that they do go together. And so what that does is it makes me more brave when I want to try out, color combinations that I might think, oh, well, that's never going to go together. And then I say, oh, but Connie mixes these colors together and it works for her. So it just makes me more willing to try out color combinations and step outside my comfort zone. And I really appreciate that aspect of working in a book like this. So I don't know. I think I'm going to keep some of this green over here. And I don't know that I want to kind of put a solid color in the background. Usually that's my first go-to because I'm like, I want to kind of have a flat background so the figures can pop, but I'm going to think about it. I'm going to ask myself the question, what should I do with the background? Because part of me working in a book like this is to learn how to kind of have a busy background and also, um, you know, like busy figures, and then still be able to differentiate the figures from the background. I hope I'm making sense, because normally that's not something I normally do. I usually want to go and put a solid background in, but I think I'm going to push myself and say, hey, let me see what I can keep and how I can make it work without keeping too much of Connie's work, so that, I haven't inserted enough of my work into the mix. So I think I'm going to ask myself this question, and then I'm going to leave this alone and I'll come back to it for part 2. But if you've watched all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.